Chapter 8, Part 2. He raised his pistol in a flash. Patrick, shut your eyes! Bang! It was only a little bang, but it was a real bang, and a puff of real gun-smelling smoke appeared. Patrick shouted with pain and surprise and would have dropped the pair if Omri hadn't thrust his hand underneath to catch them. Patrick's own hand had clapped itself to his cheek. Ow, ow, he shot me, Patrick screamed. Omri was not much bothered about Patrick at that moment. He was furious with him and very anxious about the little man and his horse. Quickly, he put them down on the bed, saying like the cowboy himself, "Steady, whoa, I won't hurt you, it's okay." Ow! Patrick kept yelling, "It hurts, ow!" "Serves you right, I warned you," said Omri. Then he felt sorry and said, "Let's have a look." Gingerly, Patrick took his hand down. A drop of blood had been smeared on his cheek, and by peering very close, Omri could see something very like a bee's stinger embedded in his skin. "Hang on, I see it. I'll squeeze it out." Ow! The quick squeeze between his thumbnails and the almost invisible speck of black metal, which had only just penetrated the skin, popped out. He shot me, Patrick got out again in a shocked voice. "I told you. My Indian stuck a knife in me," said Omri, not to be outdone. "I think we ought to put him back. Your cowboy, I mean, of course, not my Indian." "Put him back where?" Omri explained how the cupboard could change him back to plastic again. But Patrick wasn't having any of that. "Oh, no, I want him. He's terrific. Look at him now." Patrick feasted his eyes admiringly on the little cowboy who, ignoring the giants, whom he clearly thought he must have imagined, was doggedly dragging his horse across Omri's quilt as if he were wading through the dunes of some infinite pale blue desert. Omri reached for him determinedly, but Patrick stepped into his path. "Don't you touch him. I bought him. I changed him. He's mine." "You bought him for me. You said you didn't want him." "Well, but the cupboard's mine, and I told you not to use it." "And so what if I did? Anyway, it's done. He's alive now, and I'm keeping him. I'll bash you right in if you try to take him. Wouldn't you bash me if I took your Indian?" Omri was silent. That reminded him. Where was Little Bear? He looked around. He soon spotted him at the other side of the room, busy with his paints. Some beautiful, minute designs showing turtles, herons, and beavers, mainly in red and yellow, had appeared on the side of the teepee Omri had made. As Omri crouched beside him to admire them, Little Bear, without looking at him, said, "You bring food? I very soon die if not eat." Omri looked around. What had he done with the spoonful of stew? But he soon saw that he'd put it down on the table without thinking. There it sat, tilting slightly and spilling a few drops of gravy, but still steaming. He hurried to get Little Bear's, or rather Action Man's, mess tin. The paper plate had got all soggy, and he carefully filled it with hot, savory stuff. "Here you are." Little Bear stopped work, laid down his paintbrush, and sniffed eagerly. "Ah, good." He sat down cross-legged among the paint lids to eat, dipping some of yesterday's stale bread in as a spoon. "Your wife cook?" "Ah, no, Little Bear forgot. Omri not got wife." He ate ravenously for a few moments and then said, "Not want?" "I'm having mine downstairs in a minute," Omri said. "Mean Omri not want wife," said Little Bear, who was now in a much better mood. "I'm not old enough." Little Bear looked at him for a moment. "No, I see. Boy." He grinned. "Big boy, but boy." He went on eating. "Little Bear want," he said finally, not looking up. "Another wife?" "Chief need wife. Want one beautiful. Good cook." He put his face into the mess tin and licked it clean. Then he looked up. "With Iroquois, mother find wife for son, but Little Bear mother not here. Omri be mother and find." Omri couldn't quite see himself as Little Bear's mother, but he said, I might try. I think there were some lady Indians in Yaps. But what if I get one and make her real, and then you don't like her?" "I like, you get." "Tomorrow." Little Bear grinned at him happily, his face smeared with gravy. Patrick had come up behind him. "Let's put them together and see what they do." Omri jumped up quickly. "No!" "Why not?" "You idiot. Because yours has got a gun and mine's got a bow and arrow, and one of them's sure to kill the other." Patrick considered this. "Well, we could take their weapons away from them. Come on, I'm going to. And he reached toward the bed. Just at that moment, there was the sound of steps on the stairs. They froze. Then Omri swiftly moved the dressing up crate enough to hide Little Bear, and Patrick sat down on the end of the bed, masking the poor cowboy, who was still toiling along over the humps in the quilt. Just in time. Omri's mother opened the door the next second and said, Patrick, that was your mom on the phone. She wants you to come home right away. And Omri, it's supper. And she went. Omri opened his mouth to protest, but Patrick at once said, oh, okay. With one quick movement, he had scooped up cowboy and horse in his left hand and thrust them into his pocket. Omri winced. He could easily imagine the horse's legs being injured by such rough treatment, not to mention the matter of fright, but Patrick was already halfway out the door. Omri jumped up and grabbed his arm. Patrick, he whispered, you must be careful. Treat them carefully. They're people. I mean, they're alive. What will you do with them? How will you hide them from your family? I won't. I'll show them to my brother anyway. He'll go out of his mind. Omri began to think he might go out of his. He shook Patrick's arm. Will you think? How are you going to explain? What will happen? If you say you got him from me, I'll do worse than bash you. You'll ruin everything. They'll take the cupboard away. That got through to Patrick at last. He put his hand slowly back into his pocket. Listen then, you can look after them, but remember they're mine. If you put them back in the cupboard, I'll tell everyone. I'm warning you, I will. Bring them to school tomorrow. To school? Cried Omri aghast. I'm not bringing Little Bear to school. You can do what you like about Little Bear. He's yours. The cowboy's mine, and I want him at school tomorrow. Otherwise, I'll tell. Omri let go of his arm, and for a moment they looked at each other as if they'd been strangers. But they weren't strangers. They were friends. That counts for a lot in this life. Omri gave in. All right, he said, I'll bring them. Now give them to me, gently. And Patrick brought man and horse out of his pocket and tipped them very carefully into Omri's waiting hand. That is the end of chapter 8. See you guys later. Bye.